And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone that can hear the sound of my voice, to this week's edition of the Petty and Ill-Informed podcast, where we venture our petty and ill-informed opinions about a variety of topics. Joining me for the first time in 2 weeks, I have actual co-hosts. Been great.
Yay!
Yeah, sorry
Tom,
about
how
that,
are
mate.
you?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. Just I've been cooped up with COVID, but I've done a couple of useful things, including watching my way through an entire anime series called Full Metal Alchemist. We'll talk about that in a bit.
No, we won't. We won't, Tom. We won't ever talk about anime on this podcast. Look, you're already a vegan. Why do you want to be a weeb as well?
A weeb? What's a weeb when it's home?
Someone from Western civilization that watches a lot of Asian shit. You know those types, the one that say konnichiwa instead of hello, and wear kimonos, and know the right words for some samurai swords.
Okay, well, I don't intend to become any of those. I was just given this box set as a birthday present by a friend of mine. And having been laid out with COVID, I finally had time to watch it. And I did. I've watched my way through the ruddy lot, all 64 episodes on 10 discs, using my laptop and my a USB DVD drive. Proper old school shit. But yeah, it worked, and I've been watching my way through these. It's been an awful lot to take in, and I've had to read the official. Well, I've had the Wikia open. Yeah, it gets worse, Richard. I've had the Wikia open on my phone, and I've been reading the detailed synopses of episodes to help keep pace and help understand everything that's going on. So yeah, I've been turning the geek dial up to 11 and no mistake.
Oh God, Tom, you're already a vegan. All right. What's next? You're gonna go on TikTok and start pretending you've got DID?
No, I'm absolutely not going to do that.
You sure?
Yeah, I remember that. That was hilarious. Yeah, Richard, for our listeners, Richard and Nikki introduced me to the idea, this latest bandwagon that people are jumping on, where they're claiming they have something called dissociative identity disorder, or DID. Yeah, it's been quite hilarious. It's been quite hilarious, sort of talking to people about this, and just hearing people trying to claim it for themselves, with no evidence at all. So yeah, it has been silly. It has been amusing.
Kevin, what have you been up to?
Konnichiwa, bitches.
Yeah,
I don't know why you have a problem with him watching that. But anyway, I'm going to go on. And what is dissociative identity disorder? Is that face blindness? Is that face blind?
no, it's multiple personality syndrome. Basically, these idiots on TikTok put on wigs and pretend to be other people.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All
I'll
right.
tell you why I've got a problem with him watching it, because it's the first step. It's the first step on a slippery slope to weebdom. Okay. It starts with Full Metal Alchemist, then it'll be Death Note. What's that other one? Bloody Cowboy Bebop. And then that's it. That's it. We've lost him. We've lost him forever. He'll be sitting there in his little Japanese hairstyle, wearing Japanese clothes, with a samurai sword on the wall in the background, with weeb speak. And I'll have to fucking go down there and One Flew Over a Cuckoo's Nest him and put a pillow over his face for his own good.
That was delivered with a contempt of which Arnold Rimmer himself would be proud. Congratulations, Richard.
Actually, yes. Richard, you're being very, very... well, here's the thing I'd say about it. No, the reason I asked about face blindness is because it's very difficult. I have it now. And if it's hard because I don't remember people's faces the first time I meet them. I have to meet them several times before I actually see their face. So a lot of times people will think I'm just a dick because they'll say, "Oh yeah, how's it going?" And then I'll be like, "Oh, pleased to meet you. How are you doing?" And then it'll be like, "No, I met you last week." And it's a
Kevin, it's me, your brother.
no, I mean, it's really embarrassing because people. I mean, me. I spin a yarn. I talk to people for as long as they'll let me speak, and and for some reason, I'm seeing them in the moment, but at the time, then after I'm done, it's like my memory is somebody put one of those things over their face, like on police videos or something, where they scramble it. But anyway, that's the way that goes. But other than that, like, I'm sorry I haven't been here. I've had a migraine a couple of times. I've been sorting through these records that I have, and they've gotten a little bit musty, and because I didn't store them in the right location. I've learned that lesson now. But
Well, last week nobody else showed up. A week
yeah,
before that, Tom was late, so I had to have Gabby on here. And well,
that was fun, wasn't it?
yeah, it's great.
I mean, she's a laugh every once in a while, right?
Yeah, everyone loves Gabby.
Yes. So, well, that's it. So, how's your week been going, Richard? What have you been doing?
Not a lot. I put this week off because I was supposed to go to the Lake District with Tom. So I've been catching up with some chores and stuff around the house because
Yeah.
Tom weenied out.
By weaning, doesn't
I've
want
been
to.
mercilessly struck down by the gods.
Yes, because he doesn't want to infect you with COVID.
I think that it's all bollocks. I think he just didn't want to go. He's a teacher. He could have laid his hands on a positive COVID test. That's what I think happened.
Yeah, but I mean, being a teacher, I can tell you, when you get a new class or something new comes down the pike as far as any illness, you're going to get it. You're going to get it because, I mean, I don't remember, Tom, the first year when you taught, were you not sick all the time? I mean, this is something that happens because, I mean, it literally, I can't remember not having some kind of a cold the first year or something, or getting the fever. Whatever. You have to build up your immunity from these kids because they'll bring anything to school. You know what I mean? And whenever you're stuck in that classroom, it's tough. You're just going to get it. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, I've been doing really well actually. I'd had very good luck with my health and hadn't had a day off in the 18 months I've been there. But I've had to miss the last 2 days of the year, which is bum. Everyone's been very understanding, and my dear wife has worked very hard to keep the house in order and feed me and stuff while I've been nested up in one of my kids' rooms. He's been Reese, bouncy little one. He's been sharing the bed with Mum. He's heavily autistic and incredibly happy, but he's sort of he's been bouncing up there all night, and I think he's given Hannah a bit of a hard time getting to sleep.
A run for her money. I was going to say, has she slept at all? She's probably, the saint, patience of a saint, as we would say, patience of a
works
saint.
her socks off, and I love her to pieces.
Yeah. Well, you can't go wrong with that. So, what are we going to talk about today? I mean, and I will say this to Tom's dismay. I am caught up with EastEnders, and there's been some good crap that's been happening.
You guys knock yourselves out.
There's been a lot of good stuff in EastEnders lately. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yes.
Why don't we start with how much of a total fuck up Reese is?
Oh my goodness. I mean, I was thinking of it. The story, The Gift of the Magi. Where they've got no money, and so she sells her hair and he sells the family pocket watch, and then it turns out, he sells the family pocket watch to get combs for her hair, and she sells the hair to buy him a present. That's kind of how I felt about Reese this week when he literally put his life in jeopardy, and then boom, boom, boom. Yeah, I don't want to say what he did yet. I don't want to say he did yet.
Oh no. We're starting with that.
Oh,
But basically, well, no, we're ending with that. You're right. You're right. So basically, Reese is dating Sonia. Reese has told him a lot of porcupines, shall
yes.
we say,
He's
about their
yes.
financial situation.
Yes. For people that don't know, Reese's real actual wife is laid up in a care home with a stroke that then paralyzed her. And she had quite a lot of money set aside for her care. She's in a private home. She's not in a community home. And so they've been paying for her to have private treatment, and she's in a coma. She had quite a lot of money set aside. Reese, because Sonia wanted a baby so bad, then took money from her account to get Sonia IVF, which was £5,000 a time.
Mm-hmm.
And so he spent 15,000 quid at least on this treatment for Sonia, and didn't pay the care home for 3 months. So he's in Hawk for 15,000 quid.
Mm-hmm.
And so he comes up with a beautiful idea, because he's a bookkeeper, that he's going to lie to
Shazza.
Sharon. And so he's been stealing money from Sharon because of the fact. So he's been saying that they've got tax bills that they don't really have. Phil, the local thug, is connected to the business, and he starts to claim that he wants to see the letter for the revenue service. So Reese says, I destroyed the letter, but guess what? My buddy has a scheme to double and triple your investment. I'm going to put it in there. And so Phil says to Reese, if it doesn't double in a week, I'm going to kill you. So now Reese is in Hawk to Phil for £31,000. He did pay the bill with the stolen money, but so he now owes £31,000. And Sonia, because she sees Reese, even though she said to Reese, "You've lied to me again. You've lied to me again," she decides to sell her house on Albert Square so she can move away and not have any real money issues, because obviously a house in London is worth
House in like near about central London. That's millions.
Yes, at least £1 million.
At least $1 million.
And so she's thinking, okay, let's move to some other place that's a lot less expensive. So she'll have to go up north to somewhere like Hull or Birmingham, or maybe she's going to go to Manchester. She can be on Reese and she can be on Coronation Street. The ultimate crossover, Richard. So then, do you want to say how Reese is lying his way through the whole thing? He's in deep crap, and then he does the ultimate.
Yeah, so he realizes that his wife Debbie is the source of most of their misfortune. So he decides to smother her with a pillow. Which, okay, like, I wouldn't ever want to end up like that. I'm actually on his side for that. I just think he should have done it sooner.
Well, yeah, but at the same time, who's the last person that checked in on the log?
Well,
that
I was
actually
getting that.
signed it?
I was
Yeah.
getting to that. I was getting to that. Obviously, so the way they did it was Sonia went to see Derry to say sorry for saying some mean things about her, and she touched the pillow, and then she had to sign in. So, and they made a big deal about her touching the pillow and signing in. And at
Yes.
the time, I wondered why. But after Reese smothered Debbie, I was like, oh, okay, so they're going to fix up Sonia for doing it.
Yes.
So,
Yeah. And okay, but from a Sam said to me, if anybody fluffed my pillow like that, what was the point? She
Yeah.
just went around the outside. She was like a buffalo girl going around the outside. And I don't know. So we know that's going down. We
yeah,
know that's going down. And then
that,
yeah.
that's just been signaled. There's been less and less mentions of Lola lately, which I'm pretty happy about.
Yes.
But
I think Lola's gone.
every once in a while there'll be another that to her, and
I mean,
like,
yeah, but I mean, let's look at it like this. Dot Cotton was on that show forever, forever, and
longest serving.
yeah,
from Phil
you
and
don't,
Alan.
and you never get a mention of Dot, never. But I suppose a lot of people don't know Tommy, the Alfie Moon's cousin's boy, has been up to no good.
Yeah, hitting his own mother.
Yeah,
You can't do that.
yeah, punched her in the gut.
Yeah.
And then she pushed him back away from her. So then he calls
He calls the police.
Yes, the police and community services comes around and wants to check in on the fact that is Kat the criminal in this situation? Do they need to take the boys out of that situation? And the reason that he did it was because he identifies with Phil more than anybody else. And Phil falls for it because Tommy says to him, I bet you I can get Kat back.
Mm-hmm.
So
just, I don't know why. To be honest, I don't understand why Kat's drawing such a hard line here. There isn't a single man she hasn't dated that she never cheated on. She's not one to
no. That's what I'm saying. She cheats on anybody. Well, the time that you can almost say that was a coercive rape. The time that she had to sleep with the guy because Alfie owed all that money to him.
Yeah,
and she slept with him to cancel the thing, and that was the first real problem that Alfie had, and struggled with it for a long time. But then Kat, like I said, you can give that one a sort of a pass if you think about it. If you have to sleep with somebody under duress, it's a tough thing, especially if the guy is still around and comes in and tries to rub your nose in it every freaking day. And Alfie's not an aggressive man. You know what I mean?
yeah.
He's not. He's kind of a wiener.
Total weenie.
Yeah.
But I think he's gonna sort Tommy out.
I hope so. Because again, that was a situation where she cheated with his cousin. And then Tommy while they were still married, and then Tommy comes down the path. Alfie thinks it's his kid.
Yep.
And then Tommy is not.
God, that was 14 years ago.
Yes.
Jesus, makes me feel old. But
well, we are old, mate. I said there was a video I was watching today, and she pulled out this tape, and there was a younger girl. I mean, she was in her 20s, and she says this is a classic example of 1900s music. And I went,
Oh,
my
God.
God. Oh my God. So if I'm listening to like anything from the 80s, that's a classic example of 1900s. I felt like I was ancient. That's the way it's going to be. Whenever people, it's the way we think, like when President whatever was born in the 1800s, you're like, oh, that guy was ancient. You know what I mean? He's just ancient. But yeah. So if you were born in the last millennium, we are officially old. I mean, if somebody invites me to a party and then they cancel it, I'm happier than Larry. I mean, I'm honestly like, oh, that's the best thing ever happened. I mean, not that I don't like going to parties, but it's the thing about getting ready for it and the big production. Remember in the old days when you were going out for a pint, you just could get yourself ready, get down there, get down to Boozer and have a few drinks. And now it's a production.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I know what you mean. Especially now that Hannah and I have got kids, it's just not something you can do easily. And if you do it, it does happen. But when it does, it's a big deal. It's I'm going out. Hannah, have you? I want to go out. Have you got the boys? Yes, I've got the boys. You can go out. Really?
Yeah.
Yes, oh well, you know what? You can go out too. You can go out to the theatre. Can I, Tom? Yes, you can, Hannah. I'll look after the boys. You can go out. No problem.
Yes.
And we both do, but it's an event. It's not something you just casually do as a part of life.
Oh yeah.
I was thinking about. I was thinking about.
No. I was just going to say, when you've got kids, that's the way it is. Your partner goes out with her friends, and you can't go out. You can't go too. So then she watches the kids whenever you go out with you, and whenever the man goes out with his friends.
Yeah, it's all
and
true
then,
enough.
Yeah, and then and then if you get to go with somebody by themselves, it's like a third, it's like a second honeymoon. You and your wife by yourself. Can you imagine it? and then, and that's what I'm saying. It's you've got younger kids. Whenever your kids get to 18 or 20, then you don't know what to do. You haven't socialized with your wife for such a long time. And, that's the tough part. So you have to remain really good friends with your wife, in my opinion. Really.
We are. We get on beautifully, actually. We have a very peaceful and very lovely marriage. I'm very, very lucky and very grateful.
Yeah.
So, one thing I was going to say is, if I could see my sort of 16-year-old self or 17-year-old self, do you know, one of the things I'd say to them is, yeah, okay, I know you're going through a lot of teenage angst and that shit is really miserable, and I'm not taking that away. And it's shit. I went through it. I know what you're going through, and it's crap. But make no mistake, what you're doing in building your record collection is seriously cool. Like going up to all those record shops and knowing your genres as well as you do, knowing metal and industrial metal as well as you do, is seriously impressive shit. And it's great that you're able to go up and bargain hunt and find things and know what's a rip-off and know what's a bargain and take the time to look through record shops. I mean, this is all before the days of eBay. And it was so much fun, and I was really, really good at it. And I was good at working overtime to earn extra money to go and buy this stuff. And it was the whole thing was something to be really proud of, building a record collection.
Yes.
I never really stopped to pat myself on the back for what damn fine job I was doing.
Yeah, no, I mean, that was the thing about it is that before the internet, you would hear a song and you wouldn't know what it was. And there was no real way to find out what it was. And so, I remember having to go to your friends and saying, what's that song? What's that song? Or you'd go to a club and you'd, hear it from a DJ, and you'd have to go up and ask him what song it was. No, they just Shazam it. You know what I mean? And
okay, let me think. When's the last time? I can tell you a couple of times when I went up to a DJ and said, "What is this? This is brilliant. I really want to know." One of them was a song called Flamar by a band called Kuntal. It was played at a goth night at a pub in Canterbury. We used to do this goth night at a pub called the Beer Cart Arms. The goth night was called Hades. And when I lived out in Charlton, I used to try and come in on a Sunday night and go to Hades, and it was just really fun. And the DJ played some really, really cool stuff. You know, they play a load of requests, and sometimes they just got the mood just right. I played live there once. I played a gig at as Revulsion, my one man band thing.
Yeah.
I still like that album. I still listen to it.
Well, I'm very touched. I don't think there's many people that do, so thank you. I mean it. Nice.
Well, it was a big deal, man. It was a goal you set yourself, and you did it after 20 years.
It was actually 15, but it was a lot. It took 15 years.
But it's definitely something to be proud of. It's, I wanted to be in a rock band too when I was a kid, but I gave up as soon as I realized how hard it was to play the guitar.
Yes, it's massive. It's massively hard. I mean, I remember. I mean, when I was a DJ, I played, gay clubs because they had the best. They had the best music, and definitely you could throw it all in. But the song that I was asked for the most in the early '90s was, there's a band. Speaking of goth music, sort of. There's a band called Dance Society, and I don't know if you've ever heard them, but the guy. He looked like Pete Burns from he had wonderful. You know what I would say about bands in the 80s? Men had beautiful hair. Remember that? Beautiful long hair. And this cat, they had a pretty dark album, a couple of dark albums, but they put this pop song together called Say It Again by the Dance Society, and that was a very popular song to play. You could fit it in, and then people would buy the album and say, "That's not what I like. It's supposed to be Dance Society, but it's all sort of dark goth music." You know what I mean? So, interesting stuff.
My other mate, Tom, not you, Tom, a different Tom, is a DJ as a part-time job on the weekends and Friday nights, right? And he says to me, the amount of people that come up to him when he's playing a song and says, "Do you know what this song is?" It goes do 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 do. Just hum it, and he's like,
"Yeah, it's impossible." You know what? And they're usually shit housed. So
Yep.
I mean, when they come up and ask you, say, "This song," why? I mean, and then you're like, "Well, when was it popular? What is it a new song? Is it an old song? What it is?" And that's the tough. But you can't. Requests are very, very hard because, a DJ's skill, in my opinion, is what I used to call it the booby bouncing factor. You know what I mean? When you could get girls' boobies bouncing, everybody was happy, and you gauge the room by that. See, because if you go in there with a set that you think, okay, I'm going to play this, you've got to work the room for what they want and then play the music that they like. See, DJs usually say, "Oh, I like this music. I'm going to play this music." That's not how it works, especially, or if you're doing a wedding, you've got to take people from 5 to 85 and you've got to get them all happy and, listening to music and dancing and all that. And if you can do that, if you get the right thing at a wedding, and if you get the right thing at a club, the feeling that you get is like pure friggin' ecstasy. You know what I mean? And everybody's happy, you're happy. That's the way it goes, and that's the magic. But sometimes it just doesn't happen. Sometimes you just go flat, and that's a tough gig. But anyway, you just throw on some Pet Shop Boys. Everybody likes that. Or you know what? The New Order Bizarre Love Triangle.
The what?
New Order, Bizarre Love Triangle. You know,
Okay.
that's a great song, and you know, if you play that, everybody likes it. I mean, that's
Darude Sandstorm. Everybody likes that.
oh yeah, yeah, Sandstorm. Everybody loves Sandstorm. Yeah, that's a classic. You know, uh, late. Oh, it was early 2000s. 20. It's about 20 years old. Sandstorm. I remember.
It's either 99 or 2000.
Yeah, I remember listening and watching the video, and then, um, you know, well, it was at least 2000 because when I went to the Canadian Grand Prix in 2001, which was interesting, it was a week after 9/11, and nobody was on the plane at all. So it was like one of the because I was worried that we wouldn't be able to fly to Canada because of the fact that America was locked down and my ticket went through America. So anyway, it worked out. But again, there was nobody on the plane, so that was sort of brilliant. We all had our own row. But then, of course,
I suppose that was the positive of 9/11 was that anybody that had to fly anywhere for a few months after that, didn't have to fly like they normally do, like crushed in there with sardines.
No. I mean, the way it was tough. I don't know if you're interested in my opinion of 9/11, but I looked at it like this. I grew up in Northern Ireland, and I was really sort of used to terrorism. I mean, even you guys were used to it. You know what I mean? There was IRA bombs and things like that.
Yeah, when I was a kid, it was still a big deal.
Yeah, and then the bombing in what was it, Manchester at the
area of Grande.
Yeah, that was much later. But the thing about it is that Britain has experienced terrorism in a bomb thing for years and years. And when 9/11 happened, it was like, well, this is going to change the world, But I thought to myself, okay, it was massive. It's tragic. I don't believe in violence anymore. I'll put it that way. I don't believe in it anymore. I'm a pacifist, really. But the thing that I'll say about it is that it was a huge loss of life. But it didn't surprise me in the least. And it certainly didn't change my...
It was absolutely a massive tragedy, but it has been over 22 years, so we are allowed to make fun of it now.
Well, that's what South Park says.
Exactly.
I mean, but it was, in a lot of ways, if you think about it, it was a comedy of errors. You know what I mean? That these people...
Comedy of errors. Come on, Kevin. It was clearly a false flag operation.
Well, I mean, look at this. Look at this. The guys come to Florida to learn how to fly, and the guy who was the instructor said, for some reason, they just wanted to know how to take off and fly. They weren't really interested in landing. To me, that's something that I would report. I mean, whenever somebody says, "Oh, I'm not really interested in figuring out how to land,"
do you want to learn how to land it? Oh, it's not going to come up. Don't worry about it.
Do you know? I mean, that's the way it was, and so you get into that situation. So they learn how to fly in America. They sort of integrate into American life, and so then they go through, the thing, and they follow through. And because of the fact that, this was the thing, but again, if they took over the plane using box cutters, you know what I mean? That's like how many people in bad neighborhoods. If you go South London, if you meet a roadman, he's got a Stanley knife and he's going to threaten you. You know what I mean? And you know how to kick him in the nuts, and you keep on going. You know what I mean? because that's how. I mean, I don't understand that, but I wasn't there. I don't know how it all worked, but a box cutter is probably not going to kill you. That's all I'm going to say, unless they get you by the throat and then they cut your jugular. But otherwise,
Gordon said it.
no, I'm serious. It's a slashing wound. You know what I mean? Oh, it'll fuck your face up though. You know what I mean? And that's what a lot. All right, well, let's not talk about it anymore. Is there anything happy that's going on?
I had something relevant to say about 15 minutes ago, and that was when we were talking about DJs. I was in this heavy metal club once, and it was so bloody loud. Obviously, it was so bloody loud you couldn't hear yourself think. And I just went over to the DJ and just started looking through his record collection. And he looked up, saw me, then dived at me like I was trying to steal them, and like gave me a big palm gesture to back the fuck off. So I kind of did, but with my body language, I stood there kind of looking miserable, like Rick Mail would do from bottom, going, wasn't going to steal anything. I was just looking, man.
Yeah.
Or maybe a bit more like Neil from the Young Ones. And then later on, he saw me and he sort of yelled into my ear, "Sorry, mate, it's just you can't be too careful," or something like that.
Yeah.
And then I was allowed to look through his record collection and choose a couple of favorites that I might like to be spun.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, that's the thing. When you have to say this, a good DJ will curate his playlist. You know what I mean? And so if you get into a situation where somebody is changing it and you think you know exactly where it is, because it's very hard. I mean, to be honest with you, it's dark. It's very, and if you look at a record, Columbia is the worst because they have black on red. And because I'm colorblind, I can't read the label at all. Can't read it. And so it's tough. So there's a lot of there's a lot of factors to go in, but you really have to curate your list because I'll be honest with you, 75 or 100 records weighs about 50 pounds. You know what I mean? So you can't take that many records. And then you've got, sometimes if you're, a DJ, well, there's a couple of things when you've got a pressing. There's a general release, and then there's a special remix, and then there's a dub remix, which doesn't have as many vocals, and then you've got what's called a bootleg, which is a bootleg is a remix where you don't have permission from the artist to mix it, which can be a big problem. It's not hard live. You can do it because nobody's gonna get mad. But if you put that on vinyl, you can get in a lot of trouble.
Thing called Love by the Darkness. That's a tune, SoFlo. That is a tune.
What song is it?
The Thing Called Love by the Darkness.
I'll have to look that up.
Oh yeah, it's in one of the Bridget Jones series. Hugh Grant and what's his face? Hugh Grant and Colin Firth. That's it. Have a big, very middle class posh brawl to that tune. I think it's in the second Bridget Jones film, The Edge of Reason.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't mind those. The Bridget Jones films, they're quite a good laugh.
Weebs watches the Bridget Jones's movies. What is wrong? Did you go into experimental surgery to have your balls removed, or what? What's going on?
There's nothing wrong with liking the Bridget Jones films.
Yeah, there is. Number one, Renee Zellweger is a talentless hack that wasn't even that attractive, so I never understood why she got anywhere.
But at the same time, would you not say that at a time that was a sensitive man time? You know what I mean? Where you had where we were supposed to be all sensitive. I have no problem with Tom doing what he's doing. He's a sensitive, caring man because of that. You know what I mean? And that's his generation. That's his generation, and I'm glad of that. You know what I mean? You know.
I don't. Right, but I'm going to rip on him for it.
No, I totally agree. Richard, you're very sensitive, man. You are a very sensitive man. You put on a persona for the podcast.
A misanthropic persona.
Excuse me. I am fucking exceptionally misanthropic. You're not going to find anyone more misanthropic than me. All right.
Is that the same thing as being a wind-up merchant?
I mean, I do enjoy winding people up. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Tom gets wound up. Well, and the thing about it is, I think that the reason that it makes you mad is Tom doesn't get wound up.
I know, it's so frustrating. It's like impossible to wind up, and I've tried everything.
You can spin me up, and
It's too amusing.
Yeah,
It's too entertaining.
I bet I could shoot him, and he'd be like, "Oh, I appear to have stepped in front of your bullet. I'm
Yes.
sorry, Richard."
yes. I'm sure that was an accidental discharge. I'm very. Although I think that Tom would be anti-lead. If you know,
But the way to wind me up would be to make out that I've really offended you, and then make out like you were joking, but then make out like actually you really were serious, and so I'm totally confused and disorientate me, yet have me worried that I deeply offended you, whilst being completely disorientated. That would be the way to. Now I've said it. You have to leave it 6 months and then blindside me with it, and
I couldn't use that because that's my trump card with Nikki. That's the only. She's so used to me. That's the only way I can wind her up now. Is every once in a while act like I'm genuinely hurt by something she says, and it gets her, but she'll get used to it eventually.
well,
and
I
then,
think.
and then if my experience is anything to go by, the one time you really have upset her, you think you're joking, but you haven't.
Yeah.
You haven't been, but no, you really have upset her. I did that once, and we talked it through, and I got away with it that once, and I learnt my lesson. But I did think she was joking when she said, "Tom."
I mean, this is an interesting conversation because I mean, Tom, you have that issue with offense, inadvertently offending somebody, and so do I, to be honest with you. And I don't know if that's some kind of a characteristic where, living in two countries. To be honest with you, I don't know. Sometimes I think I say something and offend somebody that you could get away with in Northern Ireland, but you definitely can't get away with in America. And Tom, I mean, Richard, I mean, using the C word in America is
they're so sensitive to it.
Yeah, that you and even though I get it, it's just part of how we bounce with people. And so, like what's the movie that was the zombie movie that was Simon Pegg in it and
Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah,
Shaun of the Dead. Whenever he's standing there and the guy's playing the fruit machine and he turns around and he says, "Any of you C's want a drink?" Right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's something that comes out of a British person's mouth, regularly. If you're some kind of a working class person, I mean, Tom's too refined for that. He wouldn't say that. You know what I mean? But I mean,
Tom swearing. If he does swear, he'll use those cute little
Yeah,
opposite words. He'll say poot instead of shit. And
right. Well,
I'm,
I'm
I'm pretty heated, let me tell you. I'm actually getting rather cheesed off right
yes, yes. But I'm just saying, I grew up not on a council estate. I'm gonna say that, but I grew up in the village where it was all working class people. You got people that were working on ships and things up at Harland and Wolff, and it was just working class people. And I swear that one of the babies in the village, whenever we were taking it around, his first word was F.
Yeah.
And we all laughed. We thought it was the funniest thing in the world that he was saying "fuck," And that I mean that it's can you imagine that? That would be traumatic. But I mean, we were kids. I was 5. You know what I mean, 5 or 6, and he said it. The little boy. But that's the way it goes. Like I said, it was tough. It was tough area, unemployed people. And back then, if you're you could claim a lot of things on sort of terrorist money. You'd get money if your house got burned in or your shop got broken into or whatever. You'd get compensation. So there was a lot of corruption in that too. You know what I mean? You had a failing business or whatever. You'd get your friend to throw a petrol bomb inside it, burn it out, and then you get compensation and move on. I mean, that was the 80s, though. You know what I mean? Britain was not it was not a friendly place in the 80s with the Thatcher idea. I can't understand why people like Thatcher, but anyway, that was a hard time. She went for the miners. She went for everybody. She was a union buster, in my opinion. But that didn't stop me from. I mean,
a lot of people, remember her as one of the greatest prime ministers. She was certainly polarizing.
Yeah,
she'll be remembered forever.
Yes. Well, it was the first lady prime minister, and there wasn't. I mean, you know what? In the Falklands War, I think that's where everybody turned around. It was a big deal that Britain was extending itself out to get a protected area because Argentina had taken it over, and that brought a lot. It's sad in a way that small wars or wars in general at first bring everybody together. You know what I mean? And the Falklands War didn't last that long in comparison. There was tragedy.
Oh, before I forget, what do you think about this Project 2025?
Oh my goodness. That's like it's terrible, man. Have you gone through and tried to read it?
I have. I think it's bollocks. I don't think it's actually going to happen. But
well, if it's in my opinion, it's a fascist manifesto.
Oh yeah, I mean it's their version of Mein Kampf. But...
Yeah.
But, I mean, well, guys, what is this all about?
Project 2025. It's Kevin, why don't you explain?
Well, it's okay. So there's a group called the Heritage Foundation, and they're a very conservative, if you want to look at it that way, group of people, and they want to disband things like the Department of Education. They want to roll back certain things, and basically change the way America is. Now, they did a poll and they said 86% of Americans are totally against it. But again, this is not the thing this is whether you like it or not, it can be put onto you by different things. And Trump says, "Oh, I don't know anything about it," but that's his standard thing. if you could write a book on things that Trump doesn't know, you know what I mean? Because he always denies everything. Oh, I didn't know that guy. I barely knew this. I didn't really know him. That's the way I mean, this is the thing. Any sketchy character that comes up, he doesn't really know, you know. That's not true. That's, you know, but I mean, that's his shtick. I understand that. I'm not gonna beat up on Trump, but he says he doesn't know anything about it. But he said he doesn't know a lot of things and yet implements it the when he wants to. And you know, the Supreme Court, the picks are actually forwarded by this same group. The Heritage Foundation comes up with recommendations for judges, and that's who goes through. So, you know, if they were to accept that sort of thing, we can be put into it. So the fear is that you know, there's a president and a Congress that would pass that kind of legislation, and it really is scary to a lot of people. You better not be trans. You better not be gay. That's for sure. I mean, it's not good. It's not good.
It's just like the cute stuff, though. It's not real.
Well, I mean, you know, it's not wrong for a group of people to put out what they think America should be like.
Yeah, but I don't think they're gonna. It's when I say it's just wrong. I mean, it's like it's not. When I say it's not real, I mean, I don't think anyone in any authority is actually going to follow it.
Well, but that's look at Mein Kampf. You didn't think anybody was going. I mean, and I'm not. I mean, again, you get drawn into these comparisons.
You
I think
can't
it.
compare Trump to Hitler. Hitler was a tactical genius. Trump is a moron.
Well, yeah, but well, you have to look at it as, you know, is he mentally capable of being president again?
But
you know, everything that
look, it'll be a laugh. It'll
Yeah.
be much funnier than Joe Biden. Let me tell
well,
you.
Joe Biden's not running
That'd be a
anymore.
laugh. He's bloody dangerous.
Yeah,
Is he?
Kamala Harris will be the presumptive nominee now. She definitely has the support. If the people support this change, I think it's going to be. It's definitely. Well, they have to have the convention yet, right? But I think it's going to be Kamala Harris against Trump, because Joe Biden said he doesn't want to run. He says he doesn't want to run anymore. That he's not running in the election. He stepped away, which takes away the idea of his incompetence. So now you're looking. So he was the oldest person who ever ran for president in the United States, right? Trump is next. That makes him the oldest person that's ever run for president. And if Kamala Harris goes against she's the thing, then you've got a younger woman going against this old man. And again, is he fit? Is he mentally fit enough to do? I mean, if you watch some of the ramblings he does, everything he's ever accused, if a Republican group, and this is how I mean, everybody does it. It's projection. They say, "Oh, you know, Joe Biden's an idiot and he shit his pants and everything like that." And then you look at Trump, and they've got supporters that say real men wear diapers. You know what I mean? Because everybody thinks that Donald Trump wears Depends or some kind of a thing like that, and he rambles on about sharks and electrics. You know what I mean? It's just weird. Some of the crap he says. So
No, it's funny. It's better than normal politicians. I mean, that's why I voted for Keir Starmer in the last election. Not because of what he, you know, his his platforms or anything, but because he sounds like Kermit the Frog, and I found it amusing.
Yeah, he definitely does sound like Kermit the Frog. There's not. I mean, that's the thing. I don't know. But that's
It's hilarious. I like Keir. It's great listening to him give speeches. We in the Labour Party are taking the first steps to making Britain great again.
well. The one thing that I liked was that I think part of the platform, whether they can make it work or not, is to nationalize the train system again. Oh, that would be a wonderful thing.
They should also be working to make sure all underprivileged families have access to Sky.
Well, you don't want to deprive people because
Exactly.
literally,
Exactly. Everyone needs Sky television. They don't need food. They don't need any of that stuff. All families need access to Sky. Because, that's how you know you're really underprivileged, if you don't have Sky. What a make fun of Trump all you want, but even he's not that tone deaf.
yeah. I mean that, but see, this is the thing where this is where class in Britain comes into it way more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You've got your working class, which is kind of where I grew up. You've got your middle class, where I think the two of you grew up, and then you've got your upper class, and you don't really. I mean, I think I went from lower class to middle class by education, but then again, sometimes I don't talk like an educated person. Sometimes people say I've got an educated Northern Irish accent, but that can change. You've got to go. That perceived British accent that they used to have on the BBC, where everybody used to have to change their accents because you couldn't have regional accents, and then they brought that back. It's tough.
Oh, you mean the proper Queen's English BBC?
Yes, where if you were from Yorkshire or Northumbria or whatever, you had to speak.
I know the voice you mean. I
Yeah,
can try and do an impression of it, but it probably won't be very good.
yes, but I mean that was the thing. If you were going to be on the radio, that's how you spoke, or the television at that time. And then they brought it back, and and then you've got several Northern Irish people that speak in their accent, but they tone it down quite a lot. Scottish people have to tone it down quite a lot because there's a lot of people that come down from Scotland and they go to London and it's like they're speaking a different language. You know what I mean? You definitely have to change your accent from Scotland when you go to London so people can understand you. And don't bring Scottish money from the bank.
I tell you, the thickest accent I ever heard from the British Isles was a guy who was from inner Belfast. His name was Chris, and I met him in Scotland. We were both Christians at the time, and we were doing this street evangelism thing. And I remember I made myself memorize one phrase of his once. And I wouldn't be surprised if I talked about this on the show before. But this guy, he is an example of how thick his accent was and the choice of words. He just turned around to me and went, "Oh God, I'm starving right now. I fancy getting a chip like."
Yeah.
I said, "I'm sorry, Chris." And he goes, "Oh God, I'm starving right now. I fancy getting a chip like."
Yes.
And I said, "Oh God, I'm starving, right? So I am. Do you fancy getting in a chip like?"
Yes.
Oh,
Like-
you're hungry?
like
You want some chips? Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Did you do it in a really loud voice? You are hungry.
Yeah.
Do you want some chips? Num, 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 num.
Yes. I'm hungry, so I am. Let's go get a chippy. That's not even as broad as it would probably be, but still, I mean, Irish people from Northern Ireland, they always add in "so it is," or like at the end of a sentence. You know, if you've ever watched Coronation Street when Big Jim was on it, Big Jim McDonald, everything ended with "so it is." That's brilliant. So it is, you know, and it's
I have heard it. Oh, my
Yeah.
mother's an idiot, so she is.
yeah, that's definitely. But the hardest thing that I think a lot of people can't understand is a Geordie accent. Like if you talk to somebody from Sunderland,
Nah, look, Geordie is a piece of cake. What you need to do is travel down the Cumbrian coast to like Maryport or Aspatria. Their accents are damn near incomprehensible.
that's
They'll
an
get
area.
sta- they'll
that's-
stand there, they'll talk to you, be like, oh yeah, you fancy some scran like you are. You're just
Yeah.
like, what? Fucking speak to Queens.
Yeah, well, I mean that's the thing. If you talk, people from Southern Ireland to me are very, especially if they're from West Ireland, they're very, very hard to understand. I remember when I was working at a car dealership, and somebody came in and he said, "There's a guy down there from Ireland apparently, and I don't understand. He's speaking Irish. Kevin, you go talk to him." So I went down, and that was an English guy that said that. So he recognized he was Irish, and he thought he was speaking in Gaelic. And so I went down there to talk to him, and he wasn't. He was just asking how much this car was on the front line. He goes, "How much that MR2 on the front line? You know, how much is that MR2 on the front line?" And
Tell you what, I went to Scotland recently, and you know, I was in I forgot which town. I think it's Stranraer.
oh yeah,
Wandering around, and you know, everyone's got a Scottish accent. The weird thing about going to Ireland was I spent 9 days there, and I met actually very few Irish people,
yes,
which is just weird. But in Scotland, they're all Scottish. They're all speaking the Scottish accent. And I went into this sandwich shop to get a baguette, you know, a breakfast sandwich. And the woman behind me was from Southern Ireland. And the minute she talked in a thick Irish accent around all these Scottish accents, it broke my brain legitimately.
yes.
Like it caused my brain to have a hard reset.
I mean, it is a tough one because sometimes if you're going from a mid-Ulster accent, sort of a Ballymena accent, which Liam Neeson speaks in at times, if you go from there to Scotland, it's not that much of a break in your brain, but from Southern Ireland it would be. But then again, whenever you were in Northern Ireland, Richard, it's amazing to me how many people from the island of Britain are moving to Northern Ireland. They really, really are, because it's so cheap in comparison to anywhere else, you know, in the United Kingdom. And I think that they think that they're going to buy that property up. There's going to be United Ireland, and then the prices in Northern Ireland will skyrocket. They'll skyrocket because, you know, but there's a lot of people in the Republic of Ireland that can't afford a house, and they're really angry about it because these investors came in. There was a joke that said, "What do you call a foreigner in Ireland?" And landlord. You know, so I mean that's it. People come in and bought it up, and Microsoft has its European headquarters in Cork. And so does, I think, Amazon. And so, you know, there's a lot of people with a lot of money coming in, you know, and it's, you know, it's changed the environment, you know, it's changed the environment. I mean, Viagra is made in Northern Ireland, you know, all for all of Europe. And, you know, so there you go. Who makes that? Pfizer. Pfizer makes Viagra.
Yeah.
So they have a big thing there, and you know, this is the thing, because you've got a pretty well educated English speaking, you know,
Yeah.
group, and you can pay them not very much money.
And on that bombshell, I think we'll wrap it up for tonight. We will return next week despite the hopes of many. 'Tis good night from me, and it's good night from them. Good night, everyone.
Good night, people.
Good night.